Good evening, everybody. Oh, definitely myself with my own audio. Hope everybody's having a good week. I'm on my own, as you can see. Not quite sure where David's gone. He messaged me this morning, but he's not responding to messages now. So I'm guessing he's fallen asleep again, because he's a middle-aged old man at 20 something. Hello to everybody in the chat. Hello, Darren. I saw Tim there briefly. Hello, Crispin. Yeah, I think we are just to illuminate our non-UK friends. When I say high street, essentially we just mean retail. So basically, later when we come to the main topic, what David and I intended to do was just have, because I'm sure it's the same in Europe and United States. So talking in generalities, retail is what the bricks and mortar stores are taking a hammering from online retailers. I mean, I'm guilty, and I'm sure most of us are, that we use online retailers way more than we use brick and mortar stores. And it's convenience, price, and we were just going to chat about how that impacts the hobby, because obviously we're not going to be immune, and how we could change things up. So, just going through, I'll just pop to my other screen and scroll through the chat. Yeah, brick and mortar store. Thank you, Darren. Yeah, we're all the posh stores. Yeah. Yeah. If for Crispin, you'll have to tell us, mate. Is brick and mortar retailing dying in the US? I mean, it's a massive thing here in the UK. People have been saying, "Oh, the high street's disappearing" for years. Hello, Trevor. So yeah, jump in and let us know. Yeah, malls are getting hammered, and yeah, and it's just online, is it? Everybody just shopping online in the US, the same as here in Europe. So, for everybody who's new to the show, normally I have a co-host, David, who's down there, but he's not there right now. So, to break it up for you, we're gonna be talking. We have a format to the show. So what we normally do is we will start with what we're going to be hobbying on. So I've got a little hobby project that I can whittle away at while I chat with you guys and chivvy things along. We will then have a quick chat about what we did at at our gaming club on Monday night. It's going to be a bit boring this week. I will foreshadow. Yeah, I'm assuming he's out cold. He did message me this morning and we arranged a topic and everything before I did the thumbnail, but he's just like, he's off grid now. So Christ knows what's going on. So yeah, talk about our hobby club. Then we'll prattle on about some news, have a chat interact with you guys in the chat. And then normally what we do around 9 o'clock is we tackle our big topic, which obviously I foreshadowed in the thumbnail and the title, which we're going to chat about high street retailing and the hobby and everything that pertains thereto, just to generate a little bit of conversation. I'm not expecting this to be a big revelationary topic. It's just, I thought, it generates some interesting interactions and dynamics. So let's go to, what am I working on tonight? Can I enhance my professionalism by hiding? Oh my god, look at this! I can even hide bloody screen elements I don't want. I'm getting super slick at this, mate. Jesus, I should get a job. Right, this is what I'm working on. So I am getting through my Strigoi models. For those of you who are fans of the OnTableTop project system, project is incoming for these guys. But I've basically painted all of the airborne cannibals set, and then the Dracula set I have painted all but these two models. I forget what these characters are called, but these are two brides of Dracula. Don't ask me. I will put the names in the project when I get them off the cards. But basically, these are gypsies, because you get a lot of gypsy models associated with the Strigoi faction in Carnivale, and these are gypsies that have been turned to by Dracula into his vampiric brides. So I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to go with the skin tone on this. I've sort of like started with an English uniform colour, which is recommended as a mid-tone. For those of you who don't know, there's a really good article on Cool Mini or Not on ethnic skin tones, and it uses a lot of the Vallejo model colour palette to give you recipes for painting all sorts of skin tones from around the world. And doing a bit of research, the Romanis, going back into the 15th, 16th century, they were much more genetically linked to Indian people, so they've got a lot of DNA comparisons with Indians. So I've sort of like adapted the Indian skin tone from that recipe, but I've got to vampire it up. So suggestions greatly received in either the comments or the chat over there. But yeah, so I've started with the English uniform, and we'll see where we go from there. So that's what I'm going to be working on tonight. Hello, Cheese Me, or Limburger, depending on which handle you wish to go by, sir. So come on, you guys, what are you working on? Trevor, I imagine, won't be doing much because he doesn't hobby at home. He only hobbies at club, as he's told us on many occasions. But you've got to be up to something, Darren. You're always up to Crispin shipbuilding. That's only 2 of the 3 handles, you tart. Yep, yeah. Playing on a computer game. Finish painting some cool Heresy miniatures. Now I saw that Tim had posted that he just received some Heresy miniatures stuff, I believe, from a Kickstarter. Is that the stuff you're painting, or yours is older stuff, Darren, from Heresy? Have to get some shelves to the garage. Do you know what? I used to have, in our old house, I had a beautiful display cabinet for my miniatures, but it was colossal. It was, I don't know, probably around 12 foot long and about 7 foot tall, all glazed with some small cupboards at the bottom. But unfortunately, it only really fitted in that house. When we moved, it was like, it's got to go, because I've just got nowhere to put it. Both from the same Kickstarter, but different minis, Tim. Okay, that's cool. I'm surprised, because Tim likes his mechs. He probably figured with all the bloody bot war he's got enough, did he? I don't know if Tim's actually here. I know he was in briefly, because I saw him comment at the top, but I haven't seen him since. Maybe he's off playing games again, which is very unfair. So let's briefly touch upon, well, Paul, what did you do at club this week? Basically, I did Sweet Fanny Adams at club this week. Unfortunately, it was our first Monday of the month, so we I hadn't thought of that, but that would be fucking hysterical if he had. I'll just adjust that down a bit. Yeah, if they're both fallen apart. Yes, Limburger. I'd say David was around earlier, but now he's not around. I keep pinging him on Messenger and getting dead air. So my guess is he's asleep. His profile was last active 45 minutes ago, so I guarantee he's fallen asleep on his bed like some sort of middle-aged tragedy. Yeah, that's what he is. He's decided not to come tonight because he's going to paint his entire Assassin's Creed Kickstarter, so it'll be ready for next week. Not. So yes, I had no game this week because what we decided to do at our gaming club, I don't know what it's like for you guys, but our gaming club does own a crap ton of terrain, gaming mats. We've got models and starter sets for games. We own a ton of stuff, but basically it's been ages since anybody had done a proper stock take. So that'd be quite interesting, Crispin, so you can share. So basically we haven't done a stock take, a proper sort of like list what we've got and check for damages and decide on repairs and that. And that's what I did Monday night. David, myself and Ricky basically dug all the boxes out of the cupboard, emptied everything out, photographed all the gaming mats, photographed all the terrain sets, so that we can build like a catalogue for new club members, because we had some feedback from the AGM was that people were saying, well, I didn't know the club had got that hill terrain. I didn't know the club had got those forests terrain, whatever. So we was like, okay, well, we'll do a catalogue so that basically if a new member comes, we can stick them under their nose and go, if you need terrain, the club has this. All you need, and if you need help finding it, give somebody a shout and we'll help you dig it out the cupboard. So that's what we did Monday. It didn't take the whole session, but it took us a good couple of hours to do everything. Do you do periodic stock takes, Crispin? Or how do you sort of like, how do people know what the club has if you get new members? Because this was the thing that we ran into, and that's what made us decide to do the actual exercise. Oh, that's crappy. Touch wood, he said quickly. We've never had that. I don't think we've ever had stuff go missing. That's awful, mate. That's absolutely fucking awful. Yeah, touch wood, I don't think we've had stuff go vanish. That would really piss me off. That's really unfair. So, but yeah, I mean, the other issue for us as a club, and the other reason for doing it, is frankly, we've run out of room. We now have so much stuff that if we want to even contemplate getting something new, something has to go. And that was the other reason about why we wanted to get it absolutely nailed down. What have we got? So that we could maybe look at some fat to trim to keep some. To be fair, we do have armies and models, but they are owned by club. Oh, I've just had a message on Messenger from David. I'll read it out because it's quite short. He's just typed fuck. So he's just woken up. As soon as I get audio, I am connected to the Discord server, so as soon as he gives me audio, I'll start pissing about with the assets on screen. Sorry for everybody, just had to put my goggles on. So, that's club dealt with. Boring, I know, but at the end of the day, it's got to be done. I don't mind doing it. I was one of the members of the club, and like I say, I just missed my week playing board games. Oh, what we did do also, because it was the first Monday of the month. Yes, we do Crispin. So the way our sort of subscription or payment system works, I think we've talked about this before. So we have a weekly fee per session. So you pay, I believe it's £5 for 4 hours for members, and then £6 for 4 hours for non-members. And then your membership fee to get you that £1 discount a week is something like £18 a year. So obviously it gives you, if you come every week, it's going to give you a £50 discount for an £18 spend. But by paying that membership, it just gives the club a way to take a lump sum, which can be handy for buying like 300 quid's worth of terrain in one go instead of having the cash dribbling in every week. Yeah, I think you said that your guys, because your sort of is a monthly subscription, isn't it? You guys, yeah. Predict technical difficulties. To be honest, Trevor, predict away, mate, because I managed to fuck things up when I'm just doing it normally. Now I've got to start switching on and off different screen assets. It can only go fucking wrong. Yeah, that's interesting, Darren. And actually, it'll feed into the conversation later. But because you're here, you're UK, aren't you, Darren? Where are you in the UK? Tell him he's a plonker. What about Assassin's Creed, David? Yeah, Newcastle. So you've never been part of a gaming club. So you literally just have a close circle of friends, and you're around each other's houses, etc., etc. I'm assuming then, Darren. And is that because you don't have a convenient and accessible wargaming club, or is it because you've deliberately made the conscious decision to stick to your circle of friends, stick to what you know, if you like? Apparently Assassin's Creed isn't done, so our theory that he was away doing it was obviously wrong. So yeah, tell us, Darren, is that by design? You fell into it by accident. Okay, there's a story. Well, so you weren't looking to join a wargaming club, but how do you accidentally join a wargaming club? That sounds like an intriguing story. While I'm waiting for you guys to actually post in the comments with your gaming club war stories, I shall tell you that it was the first Monday of the month at club this week. So one thing that we did do was we had our regular painting competition, and I have a slideshow queued up to show everybody. So Crispin, one of the, yep, every Saturday. Never really felt the need to join a club, but I know of several nearby. Yeah, okay. So you and your friends, Darren, game on a Saturday. Crispin's put one of the members was building ships, so like spaceships. Just built things. Yeah, okay, that's fair enough. I mean, again, I suppose really from that, Crispin, you fell into the gaming because of the hobby aspect. You know, that was your main driver. So let's just quickly discuss the painting competition. So there were 4 entries. How can I do this? Let me do it this way. It'll be a bit clunky, but it'll get them in the right order. So, go. This was my entry. I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with it, but I backed Mythic Battles Pantheon forever ago. And that was essentially a 2-player board game. It did have some multiplayer modes and some team modes, etc. But I backed it when it was on Kickstarter. Fuck knows how many years ago now. 6 years, probably. And I've still got stuff unpainted. Yeah, okay, Crispin's, yeah. You've still got plenty to go at, Crispin, right? Yeah. So this is Typhon, who is one of the Titan models, because the category for the competition this month was Behemoth. I was going to paint my Age of Sigmar Orc on Death Cabbage, Orc Warboss on Mauler, is it? The big curved wing thing, but I couldn't find the model. I found the base, but I've got no bloody idea where the model's gone. Now you see, that was one thing I didn't do, Limburger. I didn't back Ragnarok, and I'm gonna be honest. I love the game, and I love the minis, and I think it was just the fact that I felt I'd spent so much money on it and not really got the value. I was so wary about just buying more of the same, because I still have only just basically played a few of the missions from the core box. But for those of you who are not familiar with the Mythic Battles Pantheon and can pick any of the stuff up on the secondary market, because I don't think it's ever likely to come to Kickstarter again, which is a shame. It is a great 2-player board game, and the nicest thing about it, I think, is one of the things that you do before you play is that you draft the miniatures, and that is a great balancing mechanic, because obviously if you put your pool of models that you're going to play with, you have a mixture of Greek gods and then sort of like follower models or groups of models, and naturally, as with any war game, there are loads of synergies that are buried. Like if you take 2 or 3 things together, they can be really powerful. But the draft mechanic, which means that you alternate by picking models you're going to play with, allows you to spoil your opponent getting those killer combos, and it's a great way to balance the game. I think it's such a lovely little detail. I wish I could play more of it. I'll be honest, the fact that it's only 2-player for vast majority of it does limit how easy it is to get to the table, particularly when you've got a big gaming group and a lot of friends. Because if you're trying to choose between something like this, which is literally a head-to-head 2-player game, or say Arkham Horror board game, which can seat 4-5 players, it's difficult. It's difficult. Yeah, I mean, I would have loved. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not Monolith. Who's it? Who does Mythic Games? I wanted to back Joan of Arc. I wanted to back. What was the one they did? Like the dark fantasy one with the guy who's the troubled guy who was in the dystopian medieval world, almost like a witch hunter. What the hell was he called? Somebody say it in chat. Where's Jerry when you need him? I wanted that one, but they were all colossal Kickstarters, like 400-500 quid. Solomon Kane, Thank you very much, Limburger. Yeah, Solomon Kane. I wanted that one. Don't worry, David. Just keep plugging away, mate. Yeah, I wanted that one, but they were like, yeah, Conan, to be fair, I'm not really big into Conan, which is probably not the thing to say, but I'm afraid it's true. You know, I'm meh. I don't really care much for Conan. Um, I mean, in terms of the classic fantasy literature, Elric and Moorcroft. I read all of those when I was a teenager. I read all of Fritz Lieber for Farden the Grey Mouser, but I never really got Conan. It never really hooked me. Do you know what I mean? And I think because I failed at the literary hurdle, it sort of turned me off the franchise from then on. Yeah, yeah, no. I mean, I've seen it. It was a meme Kickstarter, wasn't it? Because it was like tray and box after box after box after box of miniatures. And I'm sure it's good. I'm sure it's a great game. But do you know what? It's one of them things where you take the wins where you can. If I see something and I'm like, meh, I don't really mind, for me that's a win. Because it's so hard to decide where to spend your limited hobby dollar. If there's something that I'm genuinely apathetic about, I'm like, woohoo! Anyway, I've done all this building up, and we've prattled on about Typhon and Mythic Battles Pantheon, and I came last out of 4. But do you know what? It's just for shits and giggles. I'll be brutally honest. I don't feel bad because this was a speed paint. Base coats, washes, dry brushing, you're done. I put probably more effort into the glue in the sand to the base than I did to the paint job. So it's perfectly legit for me to come last. But again, it's a board game piece. I know it's a massive board game piece, but it's still a board game piece. I'm not going to put 20 hours into it. Sorry, people, but no apologies. We then had 2 people tied for second. One of those was Wayne. Now, this model, I'm not sure what it's called, but I can explain to you what it is. You guys there's a video game called Horizon Zero Dawn, and that has actually been released as a board game, and I don't know by who. I'm gonna say Steamforged, but I'm probably wrong. So this is a miniature, and I say a miniature, it's bloody massive. A miniature from the board game Horizon Zero Dawn, and this was second equal from Wayne. And this was the other second place entry. This is a miniature that was 3D printed for Ricky, who entered it. And it's one of the models from the Battle Drill. What the hell's that called? David will tell us when he gets here. Star Scrapper's Battle Drill miniatures game, which is one of these print and play games. All of the miniatures. Oh, I was correct. Yeah. Oh, look at that. I'm smarter than I thought. So, Star Scrapper's Battle Drill, which is one of these print and play games. All the assets are available online. You back I think it was a Kickstarter, David, but I think you can buy the STLs. You buy the STLs you want, print your models, print and play all of your cards and assets, and you're away. Yeah. Okay. So those 2 guys were second equal. Wayne with his Horizon Zero Dawn mini, and Ricky with his Battle Drill mech thing. I don't know which faction this is from. David can tell us in the comments. But this is these. I need to get some of these. I saw a video in my YouTube feed actually this week. A guy who was reviewing these Turbo Dork metallics. They're fucking amazing paints. I love these things. I need to get some in my life. They're really. I am very happy with model colour, except for their metallics, which is shit. And I need to get some good metallics in my life, and I think Turbo Dork maybe getting a bit of cash. And then first place. This isn't a great picture because unfortunately the models got posed so that it's got this arm right in the foreground. But this was the winner. This was David. And basically this is another Star Scrappers Battle Drill model. This is it's effectively like a big monocycle thing. That he painted this bugger up pretty quick. I think he might have. Were you doing it on stream last week, David? I think you were. You were putting the yellow down, weren't you? So, but basically, he's did a bit of work with the airbrush, put down the metallics, a few extra colours, and then he just hammered it with washes and weathering powders. Did a bit of edge highlighting. As I say, the picture's not the best. It definitely deserved to win. I have to say, it was super clean, as in the execution. Obviously, the model's as dirty as fuck, but that's because he attacked it with weathering powders. But the actual execution was super clean. Even the pilot, which you can't really see very clearly, he's got like a cloth bandana around his face, in the old Wild West bandit style. That's all cleanly painted, even though the models, the driver's really inaccessible in there. He's really cleanly painted, and it was a great looking piece, and he bashed it out. He's bashed it out in a few sessions, which is very unlike David. Normally, you guys know, you regulars know, he's fucking Captain Hard Mode. Jesus. But no. So yeah, that was painting competition. Another of our... I'm trying to make that a bit more of a regular feature on the stream, because, as I say, we don't have any prizes, and it's literally public vote. Everybody who attends the club, regardless of whether they're a painter or they might only play board games or Magic the Gathering, but we still give them a vote. When they pay for their session, they tell whoever's collected the dues, give me a number, 1 to 4, whatever, and then the votes are tallied up at the end. So I think it works really well. It's a nice little thing for the club to do, and I don't know about the other guys that enter, but for me, it just motivates me to get something painted, even if I don't really have anything that's pressuring me to get stuff done. Because to be fair, that's the situation I'm in at the moment, to be honest. I know these things go in cycles. I don't know what it's like for you guys, but I'm in a real hobby dip at the moment. I am struggling to find my motivation to get work done, and it's simply because I don't have any games booked into my future calendar that require anything doing. I mean, next week I'm playing Malifaux against Trevor, and I have every Malifaux model I owned painted. Literally, it's all done. So there's nothing for me to do for that. So that's like the next week, and then the week after that I'm probably playing, I think, Dungeon Bowl with Dan. That's his game. I don't own anything. I'm just literally rocking up and going, right, show me how to play, and I don't have to do anything for that. And then the week after that I'm playing Ricky with Firefight, and I'm playing my Forge Fathers for having another game with them.
Evening.
Hello.
Fucking hell.
Oh, we've got Discord audio, so everybody can hear you. Right, mate.
Sake.
I shall have to try and turn all of your assets on. Yeah.
Sorry.
As I say, Darren, it's because I don't have to. For me, what motivates me to get my finger out my arse and to get stuff done is when I've got a game. I've got a deadline. You need to get it done by X. So when I don't have that, I struggle and the laziness creeps in and it's like, oh, well, I'll just chill.
I'll just do some other
But it's
shit.
a shame. So that's hence tonight I've only got 2 of these damn models left, and then that's all 8 of my original Strigoi painted. Although, confession time, I won't be spending a lot of money on models this year.
Are you lying?
We've already failed.
So why
Admittedly,
you bought,
it's only £25, but I had to buy some more. I think I might be actually addicted to Strigoi. Although, here we go, let's leap to my own defence. When I went to build a list to play David the other week, I realised that I only have 2 henchman models. And in Carnivale, you can't have your heroes outnumber your henchmen. So I bought a load of henchmen. Ignore the guy in the middle. But everybody else in this box is a henchman. So I say method to my madness. Even though I'm spending money on models, which I shouldn't be doing.
I mean, yeah.
Anyway, mate, you're just a disembodied voice at the minute. I suppose I better try and bring you to life, hadn't I?
You probably should.
Right. Let me do this. So first of all, let's go to Discord. Let's select him. Then you can tell everybody where the fuck you've been.
Don't. I've had a fucking evening, right?
Okay, hang on. Let me get you visuals. Then you can start.
I fucking So
here we go.
You know that stuff I ordered? You know that stuff I ordered for my car, like for servicing my car.
Yeah, on Monday night.
Yeah, that turned up today.
Yes.
I replaced the cabin filter this evening. Got home from work. The stuff had arrived, so I unboxed it, check everything here, and I was like, "Oh, I'll replace the cabin filter in my car. That'll be a nice 5-minute job."
Yes.
The cabin filter hasn't been changed in the 8 years since that car has been manufactured.
Okay.
The cabin filter is absolutely full of all of the crap in the world. So I pulled the filter out, and some of that crap may have fallen down inside my car vents and is now sat against my blower fan in my car, making the world's most annoying noise and vibrating.
To be fair, though, that is quite funny because it's not actually damaged the car, but it is going to irritate the shit out of you.
Yeah, so possibly got to strip all the dashboard away in my car. So that was number 1. Number 2, I'm completely and utterly fucking knackered.
Bollocks.
I came up and was getting ready about 7 o'clock-ish. I'm like, I'll be fine. I'll just sort this out on my PC. Completely A, lost track of time. B, fell the fuck asleep. So I woke up at 8:15 going, fuck.
Okay, so at least it was the I fell asleep like a tragic middle-aged man thing.
Yes.
Okay, that's fine.
Because burning the candle at both ends.
That's funny.
But if we go to the Video Ninja...
Yep, I shall do so. I've queued you up. You're in portrait format, which is rather random.
I'm in portrait. I'm going to landscape in a second.
But yeah. Oh, this is and speak of the devil, and he shall enter the room. Here we go, peeps. That's much better. Shots of it. Oh yeah, I forgot to tell him about your exhaust heat staining, yeah.
So yeah, that
a worthy winner.
What the paint comp was. And as Paul said, absolutely throw the kitchen sink at it with the powders.
Yeah.
but it does look rather nice.
To be fair, you know, that's the way to do it. It's all those. It's like washes and that. Those sort of final steps that take minimal effort but add so much.
Actually make the world of difference
Yeah.
and character with it. So no, this had 2 different shades of rust to tie it in with the base. It had some black soot pigment on the end of the heat-stained exhaust, and it had some overall dusty pigment just thrown across the top of it. Not that it can really be seen particularly well.
Not to massage his ego too much, Darren, but it is actually quite good. And to be fair, do you know what? If you haven't looked at them, those battle drill minis are very nice.
They are gorgeous. They are really, really nice. I mean, again,
and there's a good variety in all the different factions.
I mean, this is possibly what I'm working on in a second.
I was going to ask you, that was going to be my next question. Are you going to plough on with them?
But as Paul has said, there is a variety of miniatures in a variety of sculpts.
Because you've only got the one faction there, haven't you? But there's all sorts of weird alien shit, isn't there?
Yeah, so there's, in the entire game, there's Terrans, which are these guys. Bios, which are the ones Ricky's been painting, those metallic red dudes. Which are like an AI race, like a
sentient robots, basically.
Yeah, tech savvy race. No, there's actually more tech savvy robots in a second. We'll get to that. Then there's the Hydrons, which are like Martian water people. There is the Weedlocks, which are like basically animated plants.
They're the ones I'm not keen on them.
Yeah.
Just because they just don't appeal to me, I don't think. But they're definitely different.
There's the Minglers, which are basically animated crystal people. And then round 2.
I'm not sure Limburger. Limburger's put so Bot Wars, but not Bot War. I mean, I am not an expert, and I don't really know much about Bot War. But from what I've seen with Tim's, for example, painting, the sort of mech suits and that look very similar to each other. There doesn't seem to be a huge variety of design aesthetic. You know, a mech warrior is a mech warrior, etc. But that's not the case. Not the case with this. The models in this game are as different as all the different factions in 40k, for example. You know, if you imagine you've got Tyranids and Dark Eldar and Space Marines, they've all got huge aesthetic differences. Massive.
Then the final 2 factions are Metanals, which are basically animated robots. And the Weedlocks were out of that set. So there's Metanals, and there's another set. Terrans, Hydrons, Bios, Minglers were the original 4. Metanals, Weedlocks are the 2 new ones, and then there's a mercenary faction that you can spray and dabble everywhere with everyone.
And they don't really have an overarching...
No, they're not an overarching aesthetic, so there's some just generic weird-ass sci-fi, like, there's a sci-fi cowboy and fucking that kind of stuff in there.
Right.
So, yeah. Is my camera still live, mate?
Your table is, yes, but I can turn it off if you wish.
You can in a second, because some people may have noticed what got placed down. It arrived, boys and girls! It arrived! After 2 weeks of waiting. And last night...
Was it here last Thursday?
No.
All right.
It was not here last Thursday. But, saying that...
So you were still ranting and moaning. I've just managed to squirt ivory paint everywhere, which is fucking annoying.
A week in, and we've built all of the terrain finally. So we're now on to...
What have you done with the real David?
Painting miniatures. Or building miniatures.
You've owned it.
Because-
Oh, yeah, look at this. Not Assassin's Creed. Shocking. It's flipping. I tell you what, Cult of the New, mate. Cult of the New. That Assassin's Creed is forgotten. It's ignored. He's bored with it.
Well, to be fair, I was thinking, right, Shock and Awe is this next month's painting competition.
Do you know what? I'm glad you've said that, because I was going to ask you what next month's painting competition is, because at this point in my hobby lull, I thought, do you know what? I could get ahead and do next month's painting comp. So, Shock and Awe.
Shock and Awe. I was thinking either a Phobos kill team or Assassins from Assassin's Creed.
Yeah,
but I'm finished
because
with
actually,
the desk cam.
I was thinking about doing the courtesans, wasn't I?
Yes, you were.
Because then I was going to do a play in words and do Shock and Awe. Wasn't I?
Yes, you were.
So that could work. We both do Assassin's Creed. You should do Assassin's Creed, definitely. You got to earn some brownie points with the audience.
I don't think the audience could really give a toss at this point. I've been called out on it for a year.
Well, you think even if you rolled up with it fully painted, it wouldn't stop because it's got so much momentum behind it.
Yeah.
What do you guys say? You give him a break, or is it just like that's it now?
Finished with my desk cam, sir.
Good, because I came off it ages ago.
Good, I just didn't realise.
No, that's fine. Because to be fair to you, I do tend to sort of like just leave it hanging.
Yeah,
but
and then I've had issues with my laptop, so I can't even monitor stream tonight, so I'm on my phone beside me monitoring stream.
Oh, that's why you sort of said technical issues with laptop. It won't work.
Yeah. I disconnected it to go away at the weekend, and because it's been disconnected for a week, it just doesn't want to boot. So...
Oh my God. To be fair, though, it has been cleaned to death by its fingernails for a good time.
Oh, both my laptop and my fucking desktop are now bitching that they've not got enough space. So, we will see.
Yeah, that is very true, Darren. It's why I've got paint on this that I got for Christmas, which is unprecedented for me to get paint on things so soon after buying them. But I am trying to break the cycle that you are talking about, where once something goes once something goes a particular length of time and you've ignored it, it just seems it's easier to just keep ignoring it. And you sort of like, you hit a point where, you know, frankly, it'll be a miracle if it ever gets done. And I'm trying to reform that part of my character. And the other reason for doing Warcry is I want to introduce Ricky to it. Because I think it might be a game that's up his street, particularly in the narrative mode. I don't know what you think, Paul. I agree. I think Warcry very much could appeal to Ricky. Because effectively thinking about it
What's his commitment? Get a box, or even play with his AOS minis that he's got to start with if he wants to play with some of his own minis before he commits to buying.
And not only that, the only vaguely awkward part of the rules is that burning doubles and triples and whatever on your special abilities. And the rest of it is so by the numbers, you know, just chuck the dice and have a bit of fun. I think it would be a really good one to try with him, certainly. I mean, you never know, do you?
No.
Oh, you should do that, Darren. You should paint that Infinity, mate.
What Infinity is it, Darren, if you don't mind me asking? Because not all Infinity was created equal.
Yeah, who have you got, Darren? Is it one of the N1 collection boxes, a massive amount of stuff, or did you buy something a little bit more manageable?
Did you buy every single unit, or?
I mean, they are nice, those.
They're a good, they're fucking good value boxes, but Jesus.
Yeah, they're a lot of money. And they don't have the full model range, only the N1 range, which wouldn't be of use to me.
Excuse me, GW, what is going on here? Ah, that is what is going on here.
Do we need to...
No.
Are you getting salty?
I'm not getting salty. I'm just looking at multi-part miniatures, wondering what the fuck I am doing with my life.
So, 10 minutes.
G-dub. Oh, that was a point, actually. I did want to discuss this with these guys. And I'll get their cards in a second so I can have a bit of a discussion. Oh, Jesus fucking H Christ.
Bless you.
Dang, cause...
Oh my god. Just so annoying.
What? Why? Why, GW? Why? At least this sprue, I don't have to really think about what the fuck I'm doing when I'm cutting it off.
Chris said morning sleepyhead. All sorts. Basically what models are like. Look. Okay, yeah. So basically you bought lots of little small boxes. That's fair enough.
The more manageable way of painting it.
Yeah, it is a better way to... I find those big boxes intimidating.
You don't like the big things, do you?
Because you're not scared of the metal, I imagine, Darren. Because you do like a bit of old school with your minis, don't you? So I can't imagine that you're too phased about the fact that they're metals. How did you find them for assembly? They're a little bit fiddly, aren't they?
Oh, for fuck's sake, GW. Please stop.
I've just seen Cheese Me's board game. Yeah, I'm the same, mate. Yeah, it doesn't faze me none either. Although Infinities and they do a few Siocast Limburger.
There's not many, though,
not by any stretch do they do the whole range. I think it's some of the bigger tag-like pieces they're doing in Siocast. Yeah. Because obviously, I think the cost of the raw metal just makes them colossally expensive. Otherwise. But a lot of the stuff is still basically metal. But yeah, they're not like metals from the old day, Darren, are they? Jesus Christ, some of the pieces are so fine. Yeah, I mean, when you say metals, I imagine like me, you're thinking about the chunky one piece. You know,
Bastards.
Not even white metal back in the day when it was grey lead from the 80s and 90s. Fucking
right. So. The Oscuran True Blades.
Absolutely impressive as fuck.
In Warcry.
Sorry, mate, we're just talking about Infinity. What were you saying?
The Oscuran True Blades in Infinity. Not Infinity, Warcry.
Yeah.
I've got 3 models that have no weapons options and they're all costed the same, so that's nice and easy.
Yes.
I've got 2 models that cost the same but have an option.
Okay.
So there's a guy with a mace or a guy with a glaive.
Okay.
The guy with the glaive is All the other stats are basically the same. He's reach 2, 2 dice attack, strength 5, 2/5 damage.
Yep.
Versus the mace, which is reach 1, 2 dice, strength 6, 3/4 damage. Probably want to take one of each of those, don't I? Just to spice the playstyle up a bit.
Okay, so first consideration is which one throws more dice for crit fishing. Answer
Both
the
are
same.
throwing the same, yeah.
The only difference is one's higher strength,
Yeah,
but shorter reach.
Strength 5 with 2 inches of reach,
Or strength 6
2/5
with 1
damage.
inch.
Strength 6 with an inch of reach, 3/4 damage, so he's more consistent on the damage.
I mean, mathematically, your high strength 3/6, 3/4 on a 6 strength is the way to go. Without any question, I wouldn't have thought. The 1 inch reach is not going to impact the game state as much as the extra damage output on those rolls. But if you don't want to be that guy and just want, hello Dan, if you don't want to be that guy and still, just want to build, if it were me, I would do exactly what you've said. To give myself the maximum variety of models, I'd build one of each.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Then damn the optimization.
Yeah, and I'm not optimizing because on the next count we have 3 men with basically 2 weapon options. So one is a falchion with an inch of reach, 2 dice, strength 5, 2/5 damage.
Yep.
Versus like some karambit knives with 3 inches of reach, 3 dice on the attack, strength 4 damage, and strength 4 and 1/4 on the damage. And I've got 3 models, so obviously I'm going to build one with a karambit, one with a falchion. I just need to decide on what the third guy is going to be, whether I'm going to go with a second falchion or a second karambit, because the price on the models is exactly the same.
And the karambits throw more dice?
Yes, throw an extra dice, but are weaker strength.
Doesn't matter. Just the critical is 1/4 on them, and they're throwing an extra dice. Warcry is unbalanced crit fishing, isn't it? We've talked about this before.
True.
It is the one loophole in it that I don't like as a rule set. Because the incidence of criticals on a 6-sided dice is too high for me. Yeah. You just run into spike dice situations so easily. 1 in 6 is not long enough odds. Particularly for like a miniature like that, where if you spike the dice, you quadruple your damage output. We've talked about it before on stream. I don't like it. And it's definitely the way to go. If you want to optimize, mate, that's the way to do it.
It's a GW game. Of course it's unbalanced. It's not the fact it's unbalanced, it's just the crit mechanic that's fucking horrible and egregious. Isn't it?
Yeah. I just... we've talked about it before. It's not even worth labouring the point. Crit mechanics are fine. They add a bit of cinematic. Ooh, they give you those water cooler moments when it's, oh yeah, and he runs in and he rolls all 6s and he takes your model out in 1 hit. Yeah. But if you're rolling a D10 system, D20 system, where you've got like a 1 in 10, 1 in 20 chance of that happening.
Not so bad.
1 in 6? What is it? 16.7% of the time? It's too fucking high.
Well, again, going
too
from 2
fucking
dice
high.
Going from 2 dice to 3 dice.
Yeah. And because at that point, particularly when you get, again, right? If you get models where I do 2 on a basic hit, 3 on a crit, it's just like, okay, so you get an extra 1 damage. But now Warcry has developed into, there are so many models where it's on a crit I do 2, no, on a regular hit I do 2, crit I do 5. It's like, what? And like that model you just said, on a regular hit I do 1, on a crit I do 4.
Yeah.
What? Quadruple damage? What the fuck sort of crit mechanic is that? I'm out.
Yeah.
Still, we're not talking about Games Workshop tonight.
But, well, we are.
Damn! We are.
But
right, it's 9 o'clock.
Monastic vampires, Paul. Monastic vampires.
To be fair, the models do look beautiful. I'll let you have that. Yeah. So.
Let's cut our teeth on tonight's main topic, shall we?
Tonight's main topic. Actually, tell you what, should we start closing some of these assets down? Because I don't really need the slideshow anymore. So, as I said at the top of the stream, the high street in Bunny Ears here in the UK, and by that we mean bricks and mortar retail stores in town centres or shopping centres or wherever, essentially brick and mortar retail, is getting fucking hammered. And it's getting hammered because it is struggling to... Oh, we didn't do news.
No, we didn't.
We'll do news at the end. We'll flip it. We're gonna mix it up because we don't care. Because I've actually got some news queued up. Not much, mind, but I've got some news queued up. Bought me some Sisters of Battle STL. I think, Crispin, you're going to talk about one of the news topics which we are going to be talking about. So yes, we will talk. We'll get back to that later. So where you're in Holland, aren't you, Limburger? Okay. So, oh my God, Crispin, it's not OPR, right, Crispin? Where are yours from? And I'll bring up the website and we'll maybe compare them. So, obviously, bricks and mortar retailing is struggling to compete with online. They have much lower margins. They don't get the shoplifting. They have much lower overhead. I mean, not much lower margins, much lower overheads. They don't have to cope with the shoplifting and the theft. They've got the only extra cost they've got is postage, which they pass on to the customer often in some form. But the thing is, because they can save on all of the other costs of retailing, they can just undercut. They can slash the prices, and even with the postage, you save a fortune. And as I said at the top of the show, in terms of hobby, I buy largely online. Now, again, for context, I do live in rural Lincolnshire, and before that, I lived on an island off the coast of Scotland. I do not live in Nottingham, Birmingham, Manchester, London. I am not like a 10 or 15 minute drive from a game store that stocks Warlord, Weird Miniatures, Games Workshop even. I'll be brutally honest. If I was, I would spend as much money as I could there, regardless of the extra 15 or 20%. But obviously I can't. We do have a store that sells a hybrid. It sells railway and modelling kits and stuff. But it is also a Games Workshop franchise in the town 4 miles away. But the owners are just terrible for customer service. So, to be honest, none of us feel guilty about not going there. And frankly, the only shit we can buy is Games Workshop anyway. So it's like, well, fuck you. It's not much of anything, so we don't feel bad about not supporting it.
Again, Boys, our local sort of shop
Yeah.
in the town, has Vallejo paints.
Yeah.
Not the full selection, but it has Vallejo paints.
It does have model colour, yeah.
We will go and buy there if we need to go and buy paints rather than buying online. And if we're really fancying a GW model, we will go and buy from there.
So do you support them as much as possible, Darren? Darren's just saying he's 20 minutes to walk away from Northumbrian Tin Soldier. Yeah.
Again,
so and sorry, mate, I cut across you. Yeah, like David was saying, I will buy. I have bought every Vallejo model colour that they have on the range. And if I need other colours, I do get them from Amazon. But that's because Boys don't do them. If Boys did them, I'd buy them all from there. I buy primer from there. I buy airbrush thinner and flow aid and everything from there. I buy everything from Boys that I can physically buy because I want to support them, even though it might be £1 cheaper on Amazon. If I can buy it there, I'll take the drive to Hull Beach and I'll buy it there. And because you have to. Don't you?
Again, our nearest town that's got or nearest city
understandable.
that's got a decent amount of like stores is probably Peterborough.
Yep.
And that has obviously a GW. It has a couple of places on the industrial estate that do like model railway stuff. And it has the Rift in the city centre, doesn't it?
Yeah, and the Rift does like usual board games and a bit of miniature stuff, doesn't it? But I'll be honest, I haven't been there for ages. Do they do anything non-GW?
What, miniatures wise?
Yeah. Because I know they do cards, don't they? Magic and shit.
Yeah. No, they are. To be fair, I wandered in Christmas time. They had some board games and board game expansions. They even had Nemesis in there.
Yeah, I know they did board games.
Like you say, on the miniatures front, I didn't really have anything. And the other thing is, and this is not knocking the Rift, but because it's set up in where it's set up, it's only a small unit and everything else, they lack the presence and feel, and to make it inviting, it is kind of a shoebox store. Like, everything's on top of everything else, and then the gaps that they have got in the middle are obviously set up for tables, for card gaming, that kind of thing. It's not the most inviting of situations versus, again, like the Peterborough GW store. And here's a prime example. In the window, they've got nice displays, they've got the painted cabinet, everything else. You go in, there's 2 or 3 tables, you can actually swing a cat and walk around in there. It just feels a little bit more.
I'm just opening a web page, people. So if audio goes glitchy, I apologise. Carry on, David.
It's again, I've said it to you this week, or when I sent you that link. Mantic at the moment have a sale on their Armada stuff. If it had extended to not be a full fleet, like starter set, I'd have instantly bought some. Because Mantic need all the help and support they can get. But again, for people like me and Paul, when we're buying into a game or we're buying into a gaming system, because we're in rural Lincolnshire, and we're ordering from Goblin or Element or whoever we're ordering from, there is the minimum order to fulfill your free shipping if you're going down that route. So what do? We go and buy from 2 or 3 different manufacturers if we're going to do it, and we round the order out to be the amount to get free shipping. That's what I do a lot. So I'll be buying Mantic, GW, and whatever else as sort of a one-stop shop versus having to go to each individual retailer's website and order them individually.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's a convenience thing to be able to just go, yeah, no, I want that, and have it in your basket and have it here 2 or 3 days later is very good. Because again, it's like even my bolt action army after Games Expo, and I will say this, like I'm a bit of a bargain hunter. I wandered around Games Expo, knew that I wanted to get into bolt action, kind of knew what faction I wanted as well. Looked comparatively at the price, buying it direct from Bolt Action with their Games Expo deals on the stand, and they still can't compete with online retailers. Well, I'll just buy it when I'm at home then.
To be fair though, mate, I don't draw any distinction between buying by mail order direct from the company that makes it, or buying by mail order from Zatu Games, Goblin Games, Element Games, blah, insert generic retailer here, Chaos Cards. Because if I am buying it online, I am not supporting somebody who is doing something more than retailing. And this is where this gets complicated, I think. And I think it's a conversation, or it's something that we should reflect on as hobbyists, right? The only people who have a vibe, who have a strong high street presence at Games Workshop, and their stores are exclusive for them. They do not stock Warlord, Weird Miniatures, fucking Mantic, whatever. They don't do that. And particularly, I'm going to speak from the UK experience. I know that it's slightly different in America, and there is a little bit more independent retailing. Obviously, Cheese Me says it's probably even worse in Europe, where there's hardly any, literally hardly any. But here in the UK, Games Workshop have got a couple of hundred stores. I don't know how many. I think they've got over 500 worldwide, but I don't know how many here in the UK. So it must probably over 100. And there are independent gaming stores, and they might only stock board games or card games, or they might stock miniature war games as well and go the whole hog. Where's that place in Norwich? What's that place in Norwich, mate?
Langley's.
Zatu are based in Norwich now. I don't know if they've got a shop front or whether they're online only. There's a place in Lincoln. There's at least one place in Lincoln. I can't remember what it's called. So well, there are shops out there, but they're only going to be in the cities because the market, their customer base to support them, it just isn't here in the smaller communities. I mean, if you're running a retail business, you're going to need a minimum level of consumer support before your business is even viable, unless you're literally running an email business or an online business with a veneer. Element Games. Okay? Element Games, I'm sure their online trade dwarfs what goes through their shop fronts, but their online trade, I am sure, helps them support their online, their high street presence.
They used to just be based up in the north, didn't they? And then they got the new store in Sheffield and in Nottingham.
I was going to say they've got one in Nottingham as well, yeah. And it good for them to be expanding. But the thing is, right, I think about it, and this sort of originally came to my head. It wasn't really about money, and it's not about should we be paying the cheapest price for everything, but it's about recruitment. It's about how do you make people, potential people who are going to enter the hobby, how do they even become aware of the hobby if there is nowhere that you can physically go and see the spectacle that is the hobby? Because
Crispin's made a really valid point there. We'll
what's that?
come back to that in a minute. Disposable income. Like, you don't find a store where there's not where you don't have disposable income.
Sure. And that is why they're relegated to
The
big
bigger cities.
Because, again, not only are you doing like only a certain, I mean, we're a tiny sub niche. We're a niche within a niche. Tabletop gaming's pretty fucking small, with D&D and board gaming being the largest cohort. Then you've got this tiny little tiddler of war games on the edge. So we're already fucking small. But yeah, again, it's an expensive hobby, isn't it? You're not gonna, even if you get people that are interested. But again, this leads to Games Workshop, because this is where we talked about it. We had a whole live stream on our Games Workshop at this point doing more harm than good. Yes, they are. And the money is why. Because they're making what is actually a relatively expensive and time-consuming hobby even more fucking elitist by making it even more expensive. That's not what we're talking about today, though. Yeah, that can happen, and that can happen to gaming clubs, Crispin, though. Crispin says their parents treating stores as daycare for teens and just dropping them off without doing any shopping and actually spending any dollar. Yeah. Again, I imagine the shops are not in the best parts of town, because the actual business rates or whatever they pay in terms of rent would be fucking colossal on the hot streets. And again, they're all niche businesses. To be fair, at least those kids were dropped off with $200, Crispin. I'm sure the manager would be like, leave your fucking kids here if they're going to be spending $200. I'll look after the fuckers all day. Just make sure that they go out skint. But this is what I really wanted to dig into, was like, you can make the argument, yeah, well, we don't need the high street because we can get it online, we get the products cheaply, we get the products conveniently. People like David and myself, we're already established, aren't we, David? We don't struggle to find new things to spend money on, do we? You and I are constantly assaulted by social media and what we see on YouTube. We actively go out and look for things to spend money on. But a new person doesn't do that, do they?
No, well, again, I've mentioned him before on stream. Hugh got into the hobby as a break from, what's it called? PC gaming and
electronic gaming.
And as a way to spend some time doing something that isn't exclusively fucking shooting the shit out of somebody on COD. So he got into it through the local boys store, and because he knew no better, and because, again, where he works, he goes to the GW store in Boston and everything else, everything was recommended to him about GW.
So basically, he is a perfect example of somebody who was recruited through retail exposure, not anything else.
Yep. Because again, up until the point that he tried Vallejo paints, he was like, why would I ever buy anything other than Citadel paints? Because I can get them in Boys in Holbeach, I can get them at GW near his workplace. Like, why on earth would I ever buy anything different? And it's like, just just try it. Just try the Vallejo paint. Come over to the good side. And he
Yeah.
tried it, and he's like, yeah, no, actually, I can see why you guys love these and absolutely rave about them.
Yeah. But
Because they're
again,
10 times better. But if boys in Holbeach hadn't got Vallejo, I think it would have been a lot harder for me to convince him to try.
oh right, you think it was because it was in the shop, it
Yeah.
made that a little bit easier.
Yeah, because
Okay,
he
that's
can just
interesting.
go, oh, well, I've not got such and such paint. I'll just nip at boys and get it.
Oh, I
Rather
see
than
what you're
have
saying.
to-
So he's
rather than have
like,
to
well, there's no
order it.
point in me trying them because if they're any good, I can't get them easily.
Yeah.
I get it. Yeah, that's a very good point. That is a very good point. Out of interest, I get what you're saying. Cheese me saying basically he heard about the hobby on the radio and then he basically had to do all the legwork himself. That's a good story. Thanks very much for sharing, mate. Just goes to show maybe retail's not where it's at, but
Well, again, I got introduced to the hobby because I used to paint Airfix.
Crispin got into D&D by his cousin, so that's sort of like a family connection. He was recruited. So yes, mate, you used to do scale
I
modelling.
used to do scale modelling, Airfix, and that kind of thing, which is more accessible, I would argue. The models and miniatures are easier to pick up.
It's more mainstream, I think, isn't it?
And then Michael, my ex's father, said, "Oh, will you paint scale tanks and everything else? Why don't you try painting some 40k?" And threw me some 40k miniatures and introduced me to the game, introduced me to the community, and then that was it. Like, never went back from that point.
Because you were already a computer gamer anyway, so the
Yeah.
gaming side of it was already hardwired, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was, like you say, just the...
But, I mean, we've got to be realistic. Standard retail, non-niche retailing sectors are currently struggling to make bricks and mortar retailing outlets profitable. So I don't think there is really any chance long term. Let's not delude ourselves here. We are not going to go to sleep and wake up and find that there's an Element Games in every market town in England or the UK. It is not going to happen in anybody's lifetime. In fact, what I suspect will happen is what we've got will see further attrition. And I even think this will happen to Games Workshop. I mean, their stores are already ridiculous because they've gone to this. Basically, they have one guy running his arse off, trying to fucking do everything with he sweeps the floor, licks the to clean with his tongue while ringing 200 quid's worth of fucking stuff through the till with one hand, and then fucking cleaning the toilets with the other hand. Do you know what I mean? They've already got everything is stripped down to the point where even Games Workshop have got nowhere to go with this. They are inflating their prices at a preposterous, exceptional rate in an attempt to cover the costs of their retail. And I'm telling you, that is definitely that is a thing. Their business would be more profitable if they binned retail, and the only reason they don't is because it's their only mechanism, I think, and they see that to expand their customer base. It's their recruitment tool.
Well, this is what I was going to say, back. Shall we hark back to the conversation that me and you have had in Mackie's car park? Of the fact GW used to be part of TSR and everything else, and could you imagine if...
Well,
they
didn't used to be part of TSR, but when I actually looked on Google, I think the first Games Workshop store opened in 1974 in London. And Games Workshop didn't start design, or they didn't come up with Warhammer till 84, nearly 10 years later. So in the intervening 10 years, they did develop some board games. And you know, they had their finger in the game development pie, but their retail outlet sold everything that was out there. They marketed TSR they marketed D&D for TSR here in the UK. They were a huge outlet for them. They used to run mail order. Yeah, White Dwarf used to be full of non-Games Workshop stuff. RuneQuest, I think, was a product that was supported and marketed through them, because that's old school shit. But and again, I think we have talked about it on the stream before. At some point, and I don't know when this was. If somebody does, because they're a real business nerd, then just share it in the chat or the comments if you know. At some point, Games Workshop said, no, our stores are going to be an outlet only for our shit. And if it's not our shit, it's gone. And at that point, they decided to go exclusive. I personally think that was a turning point for wargaming, for the whole hobby gaming market in the UK. At that point that the Games Workshop decided to do that, I think was a Rubicon that basically changed everything, because it took away the exposure, the high street exposure for the hobby as a wider thing, and basically distorted people's perceptions and made it appear that Warhammer was this unique thing that was not part of a bigger picture.
Well, again, it's like whenever somebody asks, "Oh, what are you into?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm into."
So the guys in the chat are saying it was when Ansel took over and Livingstone and Jackson sold out.
I'm into painting miniatures, etc. The first thing out of 19% of the people who haven't got a fucking clue about the hobby is, "Oh, well, you must paint GW stuff." Do you know what I mean? Like, immediately, that's the default answer. That's the default position of, "Oh, you paint GW, like, etc."
And that is because they see Games Workshop stores when they go shopping. They don't necessarily go in them, but it's like you say, they walk past the windows, they see the paint display cabinets, they see the miniatures. Even if they don't have a child who's into it, even if they don't do it themselves, they've seen it. They've seen that banner, that bright, colourful banner above the black storefront. Games Workshop in the orange and yellow, or whatever it is, red and yellow. That, you know, it's huge. That high street presence to build public awareness is massive. And what worries me about the death of retail is it gets even harder to recruit new blood into the hobby. And please, this is an appeal. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me that it'll be fine. There are loads of other ways for people to discover the hobby and get into it, and it's not important, because that's what I want to hear.
Actually, this brings me to a topic that I saw mentioned earlier today by Quipster Nerd on Instagram.
Okay.
And following on from yesterday, with it being International Women's Day, that historically, this hobby has been mainly male focused. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
It's male dominated. A lot of the miniatures and that kind of thing are done in a male's point of view, for whatever reason that happens to be. But in the past 5 years, there has been more and more female painters coming forwards and speaking out and becoming part of the community, Discourse, Sylvia Paints. There's one that I'm thinking of, who's a commission painter, etc. All of these stepping up to the forefront, and having a social media channel and that kind of thing, and an outlet, and it's encouraging other girls to get into this male-dominated hobby. Do you know what I mean? It's nice to see development in that regard. That no longer is it just a bunch of middle-aged men sat around a table playing. And credit to them that Games Workshop and other companies have made it more marketable and sellable. Again, you only have to look at like the commitment side of things. And excuse me if I'm making assumptions here, but a lot of the girls that we used to have come to club, etc., were collecting the smaller skirmish armies because it's less of an overhead for them. Amongst other things. And again, the smaller skirmish projects allow new hobbyists to come into the hobby and cut their teeth. It allows them to develop into the hobby and grow into what's them, rather than going straight off the bat and going, I'm collecting 1,000 points of Space Marines or whatever it happens to be. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I think the issue that I'm going to come clean. I'm not a psychologist. I don't particularly understand the opposite sex. The wife still baffles me, and we've been married nearly 30 years. But I mean, the thing is, it's not knitting, but Limburger, at university, I did counted cross stitch. You know, which is, guess, considered a very feminine pastime. I really enjoyed it. And it was great as a student because you could get like a pattern and a few skeins of thread, and you could waste 120 hours for a few quid. It was cheaper than going to the pub, which you can't afford to fucking do because it's so expensive. But for whatever reason, there are aspects of our gaming hobby that don't appeal to women. You see a lot of women who are into like the artistic, and again, we see it on OTT. There seem to be a lot of women hobbyists who do painting and collecting the models and whatever, but they're not necessarily interested in the gaming. And there are probably reasons for that. I don't know. Don't ask me for answers. I don't know answers. And I think that as an industry, we're getting way smarter. You're getting some very innovative people. I mean, people like Annie from Bad Squidoo. She's a woman herself. She designs her miniatures, and there might be elements that appeal more to the fairer sex in that. There are people who are designing games, particularly in the board game sector. They're now saying, look, these different people want different things. We need games to do different things. They need to push different buttons in different individuals. And all of that is fantastic, and it's brilliant. And do you know what I mean? We all want this variety. We all want to go to a gaming club where we've got everybody from the age of 13 to 65, male and female, all sitting down doing every kind of weird bloody tabletop gaming activity that you can think of. You've got your D&D game running over there, your Magic fucking draft over there, 2 people playing a fucking historical, 2 people playing 40k. That's the dream. Where we all come together and just share what we enjoy, and don't worry about being divided by what we don't enjoy, which seems to be the way we are nowadays. I don't get this.
We're very fact. What's it?
I don't know how to put
tribal.
Yeah, but in a tribal in a negative way. With tribalism, you're supposed to unite around a core concept or idea that you like that ties you together. But now we're focused more on, well, I don't like that, and because I don't like that, I don't want to be with you. It's like, yeah, but what about the things you do have in common? The things that you do like to do together? This different topic, different conversation. Don't get me started. But yeah.
But I think part of that links with the high street presence and everything else. For introducing and adding fresh blood to the hobby of, if it was still in dingy back rooms and online only, would you end up with these females getting into the hobby?
To be fair, you just end up with less people in general, mate. And then by default, you'd get less women because you just have less of everybody, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I mean, the idea of having like franchises within wider stores. I mean, it's like the idea that Boys, which is like a cheap discount store, people go in to buy Boys to buy everything from cheap curtains to bloody bird
hardware
seed.
DIY.
Yeah, paint and
makeup.
But they can buy Games Workshop and, you know, scale model kits and hobby tools. And that is the way, I guess, isn't it? Yeah. To when you've got your hobby goods incorporated into that sort of retail space, that's when you're going to maximize your recruitment opportunities.
Again, even like the game stores, digital game stores that sell Xbox and Nintendo Switches and everything else, they have had to diversify because of people buying online and buying online only into stocking board games, Pokemon cards, becoming more of a collectible store.
Yeah.
And as part of that,
that's very true.
Oh, well, we'll have some GW because it's a well-known brand and people will go for it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, sure. I mean, Jesus, I went into the game because it's the game at Springfields has moved right to the back now, hasn't it? And it shares premises with JD Sports, is it? They literally share a unit. You know, because like you say, Game has had to cut back. They've gone from being one of the premier units at the front of the shopping centre to now right at the back corner, sharing a unit with JD Sports, I think it is, just to try and cut down on the square footage and cut down on the overheads. And you go in there, and half of it is bloody like chibi collectible figures and stuff like that. They have still got the computer games on the wall, but it's like they've been absolutely fucking slammed by people who just download it off Xbox Game Pass. You know, I'll just download it off the PlayStation storefront, pay my money, bang, it's on my console, job done.
Again, it's that instant gratification thing.
Yeah.
Of, I can order something and it'll be here 2-3 days, or get in my car and fuck off into town, or I can go buy it online.
I mean, I'll be brutally honest though. Do you feel bad? I mean, somebody's mentioned HMV there in the music industry. I'll be honest, I subscribe to Spotify. I've sold a lot of my CDs on eBay because I've got access to music electronically. I don't have to store them. I've kept a small box of about 20 for the car because I've still got a CD player in my car. But I'm pretty much done with that. I now stream my music. And I don't feel any guilt because the retailer HMV that sold me that music, that was all they did. Hey, I used to spend tons of money in HMV and record stores. Music was one of my big fixes when I was, late teens, early 20s. I'm a massive metalhead. And but I don't feel bad because those retailers didn't do anything else for me. Do you know what I mean? When
Yeah.
I went to see a metal band, I didn't think, oh, I bet all these people saw that CD on the shelf in HMV and said, oh, I'll try that. No, they didn't. What they were probably was they were already knew they were into metal, or they got a friend who was into metal, played them it, and they said, oh, that's fucking amazing. Or they bought a magazine like Metal Hammer, or whoever else does music magazines. Metal
Kerrang,
Hammer was the
shit
one I
like
bought,
that.
Kerrang. And they read a review, and they thought, oh, I like that reviewer, I'll buy that album. You know, the HMV and fucking everybody else, they did fuck all. So I don't worry about them, and I don't feel any guilt for not supporting them.
Cheese Me's just hit the nail on the head, though.
What?
With not having a high street presence. You can't just go in and browse.
That
Do
is
you know
true.
What? You can't just wander in and go, I'm in the market for something. I'm not sure what it is, but I'm going in anyway.
Well, to be fair, you say that's true, but it's not true. Because you can still do it, but you have to do it very differently. So, what I do now, if I want to discover new metal bands, I do two things. I check my daily or weekly discoveries list on Spotify, which it builds for me, where it recommends stuff, which frankly is pretty much
The algorithm's spot on.
I probably don't like 1 out of 50 songs that they select for me, so their algorithm is fucking nailed. But then again, I've helped the algorithm by liking over 14,000 tracks in the few months that I've had it. If I like something, I give it feedback, and it now offers me things. The other thing that I do is because I used to play guitar, I do still watch a lot of guitarist videos on YouTube. And when I see somebody covering something, or I hear something and I think, oh, that's fucking good, I will then go and research the band on Wikipedia or Spotify, find out what their back catalogue is, and hunt it down that way. So that's my version of browsing now.
Voracious consumerism.
Do you say do you think that's like not the same as just flicking through CDs or LPs as we used to do in the day? One after the other?
I mean, yes and no, because to sit there and flick through or wander in and flick through the collection that's in front of you,
Yeah,
is a bit different to basically having everything handed to you on a platter, which is what you're having done with your Spotify.
And you enjoy that process or miss that?
Why do you think I'm a doom scroller?
Okay, that is fair. And that is also why I'm not a doom scroller. I love to shortcut laborious processes.
Whereas I will spend hours scrolling through Instagram and the internet going, oh, that's pretty. Oh, they're nice. Do you know what I mean?
That is fair. And it's another...
It gives me a dopamine hit to go browsing and looking, or to plan what my next purchase happens to be.
I mean, again, to be fair, we're using the music example. I do enjoy, when I'm in a bricks and mortar gaming store, I love browsing through board game boxes and picking up miniature boxes and looking at the backs and seeing the models assembled and painted. Browsing is an enjoyable process. I probably don't spend much money because I'm not much of an impulse spender. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I do consider everything that I buy, and I research everything to death, but that's partly my personality. But it's another plus for bricks and mortar retailing. And as I say, I just worry about now. Something that David and I did discuss when we were talking about this. What's the chat's opinion? By doom scroller Limburger, he means that he sits there on his phone just going, moronically scrolling up on Instagram, Facebook, whatever, social media. Choose your social media poison, Google News. He just sits there letting it all drift past him, looking for exactly the same as standing at the fucking
shop window.
when you're at the record store and you're going through got seen, got heard, shit, no, don't want, got.
Oh, this looks good.
That album looks nice.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That he does the digital version of that, and it's called doom scrolling. Essentially because you're just scrolling your whole life away, because you lose hours of time and produce nothing for it.
Wow.
But David and I were talking about this, and we talked about events. So Limburger's saying he's a doom scroller too, laughing. Look, he gets it. It's like, oh, I have a new label. I am so happy.
And again, though, I'm fucking terrible for it, because obviously a lot of the people I follow on Instagram are fucking hobbyists. So Kitsch's Chop Shop that does fucking Gaslands conversions and everything else. Fucking Black Magic Craft. All of that shit is just voraciously on my Instagram timeline. So every time I open Instagram, I am greeted with new shit that people have put out on their social medias to encourage people to go watch their latest YouTube video or whatever. And I will click on shit and go and consume said content if the image on Instagram appeals to me. Again, Mantic put one out today of an Armada roundup with a link in bio that links through to like their community article. And the content in that for the Armada stuff was fucking amazing. And I consumed it because it's a game I'm interested in. Had I not, if it had been a article on fucking 40k, I'd have gone, yeah, no, and scrolled on by. So I am quite disciplined in my doom scrolling and what I
discerning.
Consume. Yeah, but I will just consume. I will voraciously just sit there and lap up whatever the algorithm hands to me. Again, dad jokes on Facebook is another prime example for both of us.
Without us getting derailed too much, though, how much are we overthinking it? How much does the visual spectacle of wargaming, the table, the terrain, the models, the actual whole thing in full progress, in full blood, how much does that influence, do you think, new people? Are we... is it wrong? I mean, does it not matter? Do you think people will come to the hobby if they see a nice article on the internet, a couple of nice photos on Instagram? Seeing the whole spectacle is not... Yeah, it doesn't matter. Limburger says visuals sell. What do you think, David?
Yes, visuals sell. Doesn't matter what it is.
So you think even digital visuals will sell it? It doesn't have to be in person. You don't have to have that visceral experience of the table and the miniatures.
Again, look at it this way. You have seen several of the 3D print renders that are done in grey, and you're like, they look nice, but I'm a bit unsure about them. Yeah?
Exactly. Do you know what? You're dead right.
Later in the month, somebody's painted the fucker up amazingly.
Yeah.
I send you it, and you're like, "Fuck me, that looks amazing." I didn't realise that they were that good.
You're dead right. I would absolutely say, if there's one thing that I could just ignore, it's a render. They do absolutely nothing to excite me. Nothing at all. And it's probably a thing about me. So the visuals matter, but the visuals have to be polished visuals.
Yeah.
But again, I'm coming back to I'm gonna press this point. Does it have to be in the flesh? Or
No.
will you get as excited about a good YouTube video as you will about seeing a game played in the flesh?
Yes. And the reason I say yes to that statement is because, unfortunately, we're in a niche hobby, and the games that we like and consume particularly voraciously, Carnivale being a prime example, how often do you see any content relating to that, let alone really nice, well-polished content on the YouTubes, for example? And it links back to your point of UK Games Expo being a prime example. Moonstone was a game we were both fucking interested in. Moonstone table at Games Expo looked fucking amazing and gorgeous.
Yep. And you couldn't
How
get within 20 feet of
disappointed
it.
were both of us that we couldn't actually play the game that we wanted to play?
Because
Moonstone
it was too
had
busy.
been on our radar, and we had seen and consumed the miniatures beforehand, but we wanted that in-person experience to know that it was for us.
Yep.
Fallout Wasteland Warfare. Something that you were on the fence about regarding, obviously, the miniatures themselves and the theme, because you're not a massive Fallout lover.
Yep.
Completely get that. You consumed the game in person and were like, actually, this is actually really good. I can get into this.
I
Do you
would
know what I
definitely
mean?
buy it. Yeah.
So,
and again, based on the in-person experience.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas if you, and I know you are more a visceral and in-person guy than me in that regard, because had you seen that content on the internet, I still don't think you'd have been swayed by it. Do you know what I mean? Marvel Crisis Protocol is another prime example. Seeing the content on the internet versus actually playing it for you.
That is the best example you've made yet, because literally I was like, yeah, fuck it. And yet Patrick, who's got a massive hard-on for it, bought it, painted it, got the table looking fantastic. I played that game and I'm like, fucking hell, this is brilliant. Sold. So yeah, you're right. It is huge for me, but that's what's good is that could just be a me thing, because that doesn't mean that the future of the hobby is doomed.
No, this is what I'm just saying.
Do you know what I mean?
Aloud.
If I'm the fucking weird outlier, that's brilliant.
Because I was going to say, you definitely seem to be the weird outlier in chat, because every other fucker's a doom scroller. It's just you that has your shit together.
Well, no, Darren says he likes to deep dive when he's looking for stuff, and that's more me. It's like I need a trigger, then I'm down that wormhole.
British bolt action in the Malayan theatre.
Fucking that, and then I'm like, I'm on rails. I'm like, no, I don't want that. I don't want that. I want that. I want that. I want only that.
How's the SSO planning going?
It's in the long grass. Because I mean, this is David and I'm planning to go to 3 shows this year. In fact, let's go to the news, because we've only got a few minutes left.
I was going to say, Darren's made a good point of shows like Stranger Things have made roleplay and that seem more acceptable. And again, like the Stranger Things crossover with D&D and getting that Demogorgon miniature in the starter set was, again, another really nice touch.
Yeah, I mean, again, television and movies doesn't hurt, fucking idiot, doesn't hurt when it's really good. And again, IPs don't hurt. I mean, I'm sure the Fallout Wasteland Warfare thing is going to draw, as is Skyrim.
Speaking of which, there is more Fallout Wasteland Warfare coming soon. There is Nuka World coming.
But talking about events. I'm planning to go to 3 events this year. The first one is Dicini,
20th of April, isn't it?
30th of April. Sunday the 30th of April. If I scroll up here, Sunday the 30th of April at the Forum in Norwich here in the UK. I've been a couple of times before. It is very much a local small scale event, but it does have good stuff. We've seen
It's
great
where we got Drowned Earth.
Yeah, we bought into Drowned Earth here, and they had a great table. They've had great Marvel Crisis Protocol tables in the past. I've seen great Gates of Antares games. They've had a lot of the Osprey games. They've had Dead Man's Hand, Ronin, there are loads of stuff.
What's the Caesar one? Was that from Sarissa? Gangs of Rome.
Oh, Gangs of Rome. Yeah, they had a big Gangs of Rome push there. This looks really interesting. They're doing a historical reenactment or gaming experience of Ket's Rebellion, 1549, which is actually set in the city of Norwich. I don't know anything at all about the actual historical event, but it apparently is local. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what that is and what is involved with that. But obviously David and I are also going to UK Games Expo, and there's Hereward Wargaming Show in Peterborough, which is September, I think.
Yeah, and the other thing we've said about going to do, and we probably need to order tickets for that, Mantic
Open Day. Yeah, we want to do that. So what I was going to come around to is the high street presence is dying, and I think we are past the days where we can walk down the high street, see a gaming store that sells board games, card games, miniature wargaming. It has tables of terrain set up to play inside, because even if these places are economically viable, the days when you could put half of your store aside for tables just for display, I think are gone. You know, the costs of retailing and the margins just won't support it. So the next thing is events. And I hope these are growing. I know UKGE is growing. I'd love to go to the one in London. What's it called? Salute. But because it's London, it's a cock to get to, and it's ridiculous for hotels and travel. So it's just not going to happen. But that's me. I know that the guys who do the Plastic Crack podcast, they've been doing lots of events up north, Derby way, I think. I think they've done multiple in 1 year. So these small wargaming and, board gaming and whatever events, I'm hoping that they'll become more popular, and maybe this will be a chance for people to go and see the spectacle that is wargaming. But again, how people get exposed to them, how people become aware of them, that's the problem. Because the high street, there are a million reasons why you could be down the shops. There are a million reasons why you could be popping down the shops for something. But if you or your child sees that thing and is like, oh, what's that? That's what we need.
Yeah, I mean,
I hope it recovers for you, Darren.
That's what I was about to say. The Great Plague has affected stuff, and I think that is again the reason that me and Paul as well want to get over to Dicini this year, want to get over to Hereward this year,
I
because
think
Hereward
I think
didn't
this
run
year is
last
the
year, did
first
it?
Hereward show since lockdown. Basically, it completely derailed them. And they literally haven't had a show since lockdown started. So that's what, 4 years?
2019 was their
Yeah.
last show,
Yeah,
and 2023 is their next one. So yeah.
yeah. So yeah, that's our thoughts. Do you have anything to add, David, or have we prattled on and talked about everything we wanted to talk about?
I think that is everything I want to say on the matter. I think, unfortunately, as we've already said, it's going the way of the dodo on the high street because of business rates and everything else. But that's true of every store. It's not
Yes,
something
exactly.
that's exclusive to wargaming, and it's a fucking crying shame that it is happening. But
And it's because it's happening to everyone, which is why I say I don't think we can fight it. There's not even any point hoping you can fight it.
Exactly. It's just you're trying to hold back a tsunami.
If companies like B&Q can't sustain a high street presence or keep their stores open, a fucking gaming store's got no chance.
Yeah.
Has it? Not even a fucking whisper of a chance.
Something that most people need, DIY access, versus something that's a very niche hobby.
Yeah, niche within a niche. But yeah, so there was only a few bits of news other than the Dice. I wanted to sort of promote Dicini. I don't know if anybody who watches the stream is in the UK or is in reasonable travelling distance from the East Midlands, but if you are free and want a great day out, pop down to see it. It's only a one-day event. It's worth a visit, very much. The only other piece of news that I wanted to talk about has already been mentioned in chat. I can't remember if it was Crispin. Said Dungeon Saga Origins. Now then, I own a ton of Dungeon Saga.
I was going to say, I haven't watched the Q&A with Rob yet. I need to go watch that.
Yeah, a bit of a hike for you, Darren. Totally understand why you're not going to come. Same for Crispin. Yeah, don't worry, Crispin. I've got the tab. Just calm down. Dungeon Saga Origins. I didn't back the original Kickstarter. I own a ton of Dungeon Saga stuff. I don't know if David and I have talked about it much on stream, but we liked this game and it had a lot of potential, and
there were issues.
We did give it its chance, but it just missed being brilliant. I don't know what you think, David.
Yeah, I mean, again, we've already mentioned it on stream. We had to do custom shit. The rules aren't exactly the easiest because it was only after, an entire season of playing? We realised that you can only do damage once per turn rather than per
you couldn't do multiple
success,
damage per hit against characters.
So we were really playing on hard mode to begin with. But we had fun and it made us think of solutions around it. And the miniatures are gorgeous. I got into it similarly because of you, because of my ex's family. Got into it, found a fucking cracking deal of somebody that was selling the Kickstarter on Facebook for an absolute bargain. I bit his hand off, it turned up. And then since then I've bought Eye of the Abyss, which is the only other expansion they've done for it, I want to say.
Pass. I am far from having a complete collection, so.
But yeah, I own everything for it. It's not all painted. There's a wild surprise. But it's a game that we've enjoyed. I mean, we've played Dwarf King's Quest. We've played what's the lava-based one?
Infernal Crypts.
Yeah, that's that one. We've demoed some Warlords of Galahir, and like Paul said, we've done
We've
some
done
custom
custom
stuff
scenarios as well, which
Yeah.
is a really easy thing to do for this game. If you've ever designed your own adventures for a role playing game, coming up with custom scenarios for this is a walk in the park, and it's ever such fun. Just to use your miniatures, just to create custom rules. It's brilliant, great game, but we had to mod it to get it to do what we wanted, didn't we, mate?
Yep.
Yeah, and Mantic's Q&A, they haven't got into a huge amount of detail yet, but buried in that Q&A, they do say that they have dramatically improved the narrative elements of the game. And that was where we felt it fell short, because it was basically, let's be honest, it was a tactical board game.
Yeah. It was,
with a role-playing veneer.
It's like Hero Quest, but more like you say, there's the role-playing element of it is a bit more.
Yeah, and if what they say is true, and they've basically turned down some of the try-hard board gamey bits and turned up some of the narrative bits and storytelling bits, then I'm like, I'm in. I mean, they also say that they're planning that the Kickstarter price will be insane value for money, like less than £100 for over £200 worth of retail. But I am very excited for this, because I'm just hoping that Dungeon Saga goes from being one of those things that was so close to being like nailed it.
It was always well received at club. It was always well received at club.
Absolutely, mate. I mean, this is what I mean. We liked the game. It was good, but it was so close to being brilliant, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It was just that.
It was a stroke or two away from excellence.
And maybe with this iteration, they will nail it. We can but hope.
Speaking of Kickstarters,
yes,
there's only one that I want to mention that's news related.
Yep, it's already on screen.
TT Combat's Knoll Friends.
Knolls and Fantasy Friends.
I backed the Halflings and Fantasy Friends when that came out. The miniatures are gorgeous.
I'm assuming, correct me if I'm wrong, mate, I was scrolling through this.
Yeah.
Can you get all of their previous Kickstarters as add-ons? Did I see? Because there's loads of shit. There's
loads down in the add-on section, like the Halflings one.
Yeah,
the Halflings
Undead
RPG.
Halflings, Halfling RPG,
Yeah.
Desert Elf RPG.
That's out of their earlier Kickstarters.
Right, so basically they've allowed you to unlock all of the old stuff as well, or add on the old stuff as well. That's pretty cool.
It's really nice. I'm considering, Paul.
What are the Carnivale bits they've got here?
I'm not sure yet. I know what they are. It's an African team. It's an African like slave trader team. It is teased somewhere.
I must confess, there is so much stuff here.
But I'm looking at it and looking at the Dwarf and Shield Maiden army going, ooh, Kings of War.
Halfling vampires? What? What?
Yeah, it's gorgeous. The minis are nice.
These are just genius.
Again, Kings of War's armies. Anyone?
Just models for the sake of models. They're beautiful.
And they're TT, so they'll be characterful as fuck.
Yeah, this is good, mate. Do you know what? I love the way it's very modular.
Yeah, it's basically, I think it's back it for $1, get access to everything in the Pledge Manager afterwards.
Yeah, and then just literally buy what you want. It's such a good it's just a good Kickstarter. Now, I don't know, has it got long left? I don't think it's got long left, has it? 4 days. 4 days, people. So don't sleep on it. Get your fucking pledge in. They're already double their target, so they've smashed it. I can't see the chat. What the guys thinking?
Cheese Me wants a link.
Okay. I'll see if I can do that without YouTube killing it. I don't know if I can actually put I don't even know I, as the host, can put fucking links in chat, but I'll try it.
If not, watch this space and it will be in the video description.
Yeah, I will definitely get it in the video description, as you have asked. Right. It's appearing on my... Has it appeared? Right. That appears for me as a clickable link. I don't know if it does for you guys, but that's what we've done. That is a very good Kickstarter, mate. Good catch.
I didn't even realise they were doing it until again, on one of my Doom scrolls, I saw new Carnivale stuff and I was like, what? What is this sorcery? And then went and found it.
I love these frog things as well. There's so much cool stuff. So much cool stuff. Then David mentioned these because, like, they used to do Sisters of One Page Rules, used to do Battle Sisters.
Yep.
And then they pulled all the sculpts because basically they looked crap next to their newer stuff. And I think they took them down late 22.
Yeah,
something like that. But they've relaunched everything. They're now called the Blessed Sisters. And basically they're just Sisters of Battle proxies for 40k. But they look pretty fucking awesome. I don't know what you say, mate. But
I just saw the article and thought it was quite funny that obviously the company that is making knockoff 40k minis is going, well, we'll rename them now because then it'll stop the big GW cease and desist.
It wasn't. I don't think it was that. From the because I googled it after you said about it, and it came up with like the Battle Sisters, and I couldn't find them anywhere. And it said he did an announcement saying, because he took several model ranges down of his My Mini Factory, and he said these things are old, they no longer look right, they're so far behind our current output, they will be reworked, they will come back at some point, and this was one of them. So I don't think it was a cease and desist. I mean, these basically, you've got women with lasguns with laser rifles. I mean, fuck off. Yeah. How you can cease and desist that, I don't know.
I don't know, but GW try everything, don't they?
Fuck off.
Look at the litigation lawsuit with Colts.
But just because Crispin didn't, when Crispin said about doing Sisters of Battle and printing his STLs or whatever, he didn't mean these. Crispin, I think, meant these.
What are these?
Is Crispin still in the chat? Did I get it right, Crispin? Is this the one? These are the Coven Squad, Coven, by reptilianoverlords.com.
I keep hearing good things about Reptilian Overlords.
And these, look at these, Jesus. These are nice models. And I think I've literally just been skimming the website. I think I'm correct in saying that you can, as well as you get all of the individual components like heads and arms and that sort of thing. So you can have STLs to print multi-component models.
Yeah.
Which you then can build and assemble how you want.
Like a conventional model.
Yeah. So these are a full-on kit. There's some amazing stuff here. Are these? Is Crispin responded? Did I get it right?
Crispin has not responded.
Yeah. I'm sure these are what he said, because he said Reptilian Overlords in the chat earlier. So this is what I found. But yeah, they do look pretty good. Well, look, guys, we've overrun by 15 minutes.
Makes up for me being late.
Yeah, we'll blame David. It's David's fault.
We always usually blame David anyway, so what's it matter?
So, let's go back to the main screen. So, thank you very much, everybody, for being there in the chat and for keeping us going over the last couple of hours. I don't know how you've done, mate, but I've managed to get base colours down on everything but the hair.
I've built all of my Oscuran True Blades, and I have one model left to build in a minute after I've finished discussing with you Warcry cards for the Khorne guys.
Oh, okay, because you got to do the weapons for that. You're welcome, Darren. No, you're more than welcome. So let's do the YouTube thing. Thank you very much for everybody who was here with us tonight watching along. If you catch us later on YouTube, then please, if you can only do one thing for us, like the video. If you can do any of the other things, share, comment, subscribe, then that's great. But please press the like button if you can't do anything else. If you want to leave your input on the main topic in the comments below, then please do. What do you think about the death of retailing and its impact on our hobby? Is it going to impact recruitment? Is it going to be a factor going forward, or is it just not relevant and the hobby will find a way? We want to know your opinion in the comments. And I think with that, we are done.
And I'll try and be on time next week.
Yeah, right, whatever. Oh, that reminds me. I may have something for the chat. If you want to tune in, maybe not next week, but the week after, we may have a solution going forward. So for me and the boy David, it's good night.
Night, everyone.